Hello, Sharpie Boss here. This is Chapter 2 of Slender by the Wizard of Words. If you are just now joining us, you should go back and listen to Chapter 1 first. Chapter 2, Malevolent. Twilight woke up without making a sound. Her eyes blinked away the sleep of the night as her body lay still. Her cushion was just as soft and warm as the night before, rising and falling in tune with her breath. The cyan fibers tickled her nose and warmed the side of her face. She smiled. Dash was always the best pillow to sleep on. Carefully, she angled her neck to see the Pegasus's head hanging down over hers, tongue hanging freely from her mouth. Her ears twitched absently in her sleep, but her eyes didn't flutter even for a second. She was still trotting blissfully through her REM cycle. It made Twilight want to giggle, but she held back her breath. Her lavender eyes looked up to her window before following the rays of light to the far wall, illuminating some of her books. She recognized one of the titles, Border Worlds and Their Constellations. It was an old favorite of hers. It was on the 8th row up from the floor, about the same height as the window. That meant the day had barely begun, Celestia's sun just beginning to climb in the sky. She didn't have to get up yet. A content hum came from her lips as she pushed herself closer to Dash, cherishing the warmth that came from the underbelly of the Pegasus. Twilight felt her friend's wing pull her closer, blanketing her like they had the night before. She didn't let out a sound of disagreement, only a coo of comfort. The idea of casting a sleeping spell on herself drifted into her mind, ghosting over her imagination. With a bite of her lip, she did away with it. As lovely as a day asleep with the mare sounded, there was work that needed to be done. She couldn't suppress the groan at her own reminder. Without Spike here, she would have to do much of the shopping and cooking herself. It wasn't difficult, just not nearly as warm or comfortable as sleeping on Rainbow Dash. Still, work was work, and Twilight was never a filly to push away her duties. Grabbing hold of the muscled wings that held her close, she felt the urge to sink deeper into their embrace, but fought it off. A reluctant sigh left her lips as she carefully rolled off the cyan Pegasus, delicately setting Dash's wings back down. The Pegasus closed her lips for a moment, swallowing on something that wasn't there, but her rest remained as deep as before. Twilight smiled at the sight. She carefully trotted out of the room, walking with slow hoofballs up the stairs to her bedroom. The day may have been young, but nothing woke up a pony like a wash through water. Or so the unicorn remembered Rarity telling her once. She let her hooves click across the floor of the bathroom, shutting the door behind her. A flick of her magic turned the knob of the shower head, pulling the curtain shut as she let herself stand beneath the falling water. Forgivingly, the water was anything but cold, not nearly as warm or gentle as the frame and coat of the mare downstairs, but still tolerable. Twilight let her magic dominate her routine, letting the lavender glow work itself as she enjoyed the white noise of the water against the chromatic of the shower's bottom. Her eyes may have been shut, but she felt the rhythmic fall of the water against her as the liquid conditioner seeped into her mane and coat, cleaning her of any grime she collected through the previous day and night. It felt great, but still not quite as enjoyable as being held close by Dash. The memory gave her a bubble of joy inside. It was silly, really, and she knew it, but somehow nothing felt quite as nice as being loved like that. The acceptance of Celestia, the protectiveness of her brother, she loved those as much as any pony would, but being near Dash, it was something altogether new and wonderful. She tried to remember through her cleaning and grooming just when they had started to act as they did, read stories together on late nights, hug one another close, and share a few meals in a few restaurants. Remembering when those happened was easy. Remembering how it happened, however, Twilight just couldn't do. Chalk it up as just another mystery in pink. Twilight spoke to herself, careful not to let the water running down her muzzle drip into her mouth. It was the truth, though. Much like her energetic friend, just what was happening between the two of them was a mystery, something she would probably never solve. But much like the enigma that was her bubbly friend, how Rainbow and herself fell into these habits didn't matter. She was happy. It was obvious Rainbow was happy, and no pony was hurt because of it. Besides, there were other things to worry about. Her thoughts ceased with the flow of the water. Twilight shook her hooves to shake off the excess water that clung to her coat. She pushed back the curtains with a quick flare of her horn. Water dripped from her still-soaked mane and fur as her hooves clicked on the tiled floor. She felt a towel pat herself dry before she realized her magic was working. She angled her head left and right, letting the towel pull away the moisture from her coat with its soft fibers. Her hooves lifted off the floor one at a time, letting the thick fabric work its way over her. Twilight let her eyes remain shut and passive as her routine neared the end, content to let her years of magical practice and skill be used for something less complicated than saving a kingdom. A sigh of pleasure left her as she felt the towel wrap over her head, carefully patting around her horn before wiping itself off the bony protrusion with Wait. She couldn't do magic if something was touching her horn. Rainbow? Twilight spoke the name questioningly. The towel froze mid-wipe, being held over her horn like a filly caught with her hoof in the cookie jar. The sigh of pleasure from before gave way to one of annoyance. Okay, Dash, thanks, but I think I can handle it from here. Twilight felt the towel being pulled from her with more force than any of the other gentle pats it gave before, all but confirming her theory of Dash rubbing her down, no doubt to perform some sort of prank on her. When she felt the last of the fibers, she opened her eyes, looking for the prismatic bane of her Pegasus friend. She found herself staring into the chitin features of Crean Crystallis. Boo! Twilight's scream pierced the heavens. I still can't believe you fell for that. Rainbow Dash cheered as she practically skipped down the streets of Ponyville, letting her grin spread wide across her features. I mean, seriously, I knew it would be sweet, but you just made it awesome. I get it, Dash, Twilight cajoled beside her. You already made it clear to the entire town that your prank worked. Can't we just move on from it now? Heck no! The Pegasus responded without missing a beat. With Beaky gone for now, some ponies gotta liven up this place. Might as well be the only other pony who can pull off wickedly awesome pranks. And that includes scaring me half to death with some cheap mask? If it means some pony gets a laugh out of it, yeah. Besides, it's not like I hurt you or anything, did I? Twilight looked back up to the Pegasus, seeing her giving a cautious look, her mouth hanging open and low with half-drawn eyes. The lavender mare felt a sigh pull from her lips. No, you didn't. She relented. But why did you wear that mask? Dash jumped beside her, flipping over the unicorn before landing on her opposite side. Come on, like you'd be scared if I was in the bathroom with you. The eyebrows of the Pegasus rose as her lids fell halfway over her eyes, a cocky grin sitting beneath her nose. That sounds more like something you'd be excited for. Rainbow? The name came out as a stutter, only making the Pegasus's grin break into a full-blown smile. There are other ponies around us. Twilight whispered harshly to the Pegasus as her lavender eyes scanned the crowds of the market stalls. Chill out, Twi. It's not like they care. The unicorn froze in place as she felt the Pegasus put a wing over her back. If anything, it'll just make them jealous. The heat of her cheeks spread to the rest of her body. Stop it, Dash. It was supposed to be a command, but it came out more like a whimper. The Pegasus didn't let the chance slip. Doesn't sound like you want me to stop, Sparkle. It was beyond Twilight's comprehension if the heat flowing through her was from Dash's close proximity or the anger she wanted to express. The urge to light herself on fire was definitely there. The problem was, with the heat that was spreading through her, it felt like she already had. I think now is when Applejack would say something like, "Your expression is all I need, Sugar Cube." Twilight fruitlessly tried to break away from the winged embrace of her friend, eyes darting in every direction but the one just beside her. A few glances from a few tired ponies looked their way, but never anything more. She gnawed at her lower lip, suppressing a sound she knew would draw more than just a few glances if it came out. Dash either didn't care, or wanted just that to happen. That is, until another noise pierced the air. Wait! Dash's wing flew off Twilight fast enough to nearly create its own rain boom. Twilight, Rainbow Dash! Twilight took a shaky breath to control herself. The mares turned to see a worried colt galloping towards them, his eyes wide and terrified. The Pegasus recognized him instantly. Rumble! Dash spoke as she quickly lowered herself to his height. What's wrong, little buddy? You look terrified. To Twilight, that was an understatement. The poor colt looked pale and out of breath, his dark coat a shade wider and eyes sunk in. His wings buzzed at his sides, no doubt from trying to get to them faster, but what caught the eye of the inquisitive mare the most was what lay just beneath his eyes, sunk into the coat along his face. Tears. "Pip is missing!" he screamed at the Pegasus, emotions flying high and fast. "His mom is crying and asking everybody for help, and when she told me I was worried because I hadn't seen him for days, and then she said that he was just gone, and... He felt a hoof against his muzzle. "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Rainbow spoke carefully to the scared little pony. "Calm down there, little stallion." She moved her hoof away from him, letting his hyperventilating breaths slowly subside. He still looked worse for wear. "Now, what were you saying about Pip? The little dude is missing?" Rumble nodded his head weakly, his little body still shaking, almost violently. Yeah, but his mom is worried because she thinks he was full-napped last night." The hairs on the back of Twilight's neck stood on end. Dash didn't twitch a muscle. He's been sick all week with the flu, like my brother during that water tornado, but Pip, he was worse. His voice trailed off as something painful crossed his mind. "It's all right, buddy." Dash spoke to him, giving a pat on his back. "You don't have to say any more. Twi and I can talk with his mom. You just hang tight, all right?" The little colt's eyes looked up at her, beaming through his wet gaze. The gaze could have made a manticore cry. "Thank you," he spoke up. He is one of my best friends. You've got to find him." Before Dash could utter another word, Twilight was beside her. "Don't worry, Rumble," she spoke with a caring smile to the colt. "Dash and I will do everything we can, maybe even a little more." The ghost of a smile drifted over the gray colt's features. "Now, where is his mother now?" The little Pegasus aimed his hoof down the back street, down the path he had come running from. Down that road. It's the red house on the right. A tree limb fell by it during the storm. I don't think any ponies moved it yet." His hoof shook all the way back to the ground. Please find him. He's my best friend." "Don't worry, little guy. We'll do all we can." Dash spoke up with a proud smile. "You got the smartest unicorn and the fastest Pegasus on the case. Pip will be back soon, guaranteed." Twilight held her mask of confidence in place well. Her eyes, however, stared at Dash as if she had just pronounced Princess Luna a true evil of Equestria. "I hope thy words are honest, Rainbow Dash." Twilight didn't say that. Before she could turn towards the voice, a large figure descended in front of her, just beside Rumble and Dash. Wide wings of a dark shade were extended over her, shadowing her beneath the sun's rays. Her breath caught in her throat at the sudden appearance, turning to fully see the thing that had started them. She met the cool gaze of Princess Luna, guardian of the night. "Your Majesty!" Twilight fell to her knees without patience. She heard Dash and Rumble follow suit. A tense moment of silence followed, broken only by the murmurings of ponies around the market square. The unicorn dared a glance to her side, seeing many more than one pony staring at the sight of their princess. "Rise." The command came curtly, the cool, feathery touch of a wing upon her shoulder. Twilight did as she was told, pushing herself to her hooves to meet the gaze of her lunar ruler. She felt a shiver beneath those cerulean eyes. Rainbow Dash. The dark alicorn began, gaze shifting to the cyan Pegasus. Said mare nearly jumped at the direction. "Didst thou speak true and honest with thine vow of commitment?" Dash uttered dumbly, her eyes wider than Twilight's own just a few hours ago. Her pupils darted to and fro, searching for a comment to make, before finally settling on the unicorn just beside her. She begged silently for help. "She was asking if you're going to help search for Pip," Twilight explained quickly in a soft hush, already fully aware of the alicorn who could hear her. Recognition showed in the Pegasus's eyes. "Oh, yeah, totally." Her confident aura returned, lips rising again into a sure smile. "There's no way in TARDIS we're letting some full napper get away with anything in our town." She held her smile as wide as she could, standing to her fullest in front of the alicorn with flared dark wings. Seconds passed in silence before the confidence began to fade from the mare, her grin following into a worried frown. Luna held her stone expression as her commanding gaze continued to look towards Dash. The only part of her that moved was the celestial mane behind her, translucent to the sun that draped over it. Her eyes moved from the Pegasus, slowly twisting till they met the form of the still tearful colt, legs shaking hard enough to rattle across the ground. The sharp crystal orb slowly softened into caring, sympathetic eyes, looking down at the startled foal with a gaze not far from that of a mother. "Calm yourself, young Rumble." Her voice spoke softly as she lowered herself to the colt's height, glistening shoes by her muzzle. "I have come only by the knowledge that Pip has been taken. He is a friend of mine, and I cannot allow any harm to pass upon." The small Pegasus colt she spoke to brightened with every word that passed the Lunar Princess's lips. "So, you mean you're gonna help look for Pip?" Even with the coat still matted with tears, it was impossible to miss the spark of hope that glimmered in his youthful eyes. The Dark Princess chuckled lightly before answering. "Of course. He proved to me that I can be the princess Equestria needs me to be. I would be doing a disservice not to aid him now, in his hour of need." Rumble nodded up and down vigorously. "I have no idea what you just said, but thanks for helping, Princess." Without wasting a moment, the colt jumped forward, wrapping his hooves around the princess's leg. Any tense moment that might have come flew away as Luna laid her other hoof over the small Pegasus's back. Dash and Twilight exchanged a look of relief at the display. "It is my pleasure to offer help to those who require it most, but—" Luna pulled back her hoof, gently ushering the small Rumble off of her. "If I am to aid Pip, I must speak to his mother first." Her gaze turned away from the group, looking past the crowd of ponies that had collected at the path's edge, watching the exchange carefully. "You spoke that his home is over yonder, in a home of red?" The colt nodded, gently backing away from the dark alicorn. "Yeah, his mom is there. She told me when I came by to check up on her." Rumble's head fell low as the memory surfaced in his mind. She's scared, more scared than me." Once again, his eyes rose to the Princess of the Night, asking a question he'd only just voiced. "But you could fix that, right?" Luna smiled kindly upon the colt. "As Rainbow has spoken and vowed, we will try to do all that we can to find little Pip." The alicorn rose to her tallest as she finished, folding her wings against her side as she did so. Her gaze turned to Twilight and Dash, who had been watching the exchange of words, just as mesmerized as the crowd that surrounded them. "Is that not correct?" Huh? The Pegasus let out dumbly before giving herself a rough shake. "Oh yeah, totally. With your help, we're gonna find whoever did this as fast as I can fly." "And you, Twilight Sparkle?" the dark alicorn asked, gaze now on the prized and precious student of her sister. The unicorn, however, held an expression caught frozen between bewilderment and confusion. "Yo, Twilight!" Dash spoke next to her. "You still in there?" The Pegasus gave her friend a light nudge with her hoof, shaking the mare. The unicorn blinked her eyes once, twice, before giving her mane a shake with her head. "Yes!" she cried, a pitch too high. Yes, sorry, I guess I didn't expect to see you here, Your Majesty, at least so quickly." Twilight spoke in a tone that quickly grew sheepish, a hot blush visible across her lavender coat. "Truthfully, this was not planned, but word spreads to us, my sister and I, faster than most ponies would assume." Luna supplied her reasoning, watching as the unicorn slowly nodded her head in understanding. She turned from the pair and the colt, aiming her form down the street Rumble had motioned for them twice now. "Come then." The princess beckoned with her wing. "The sooner that we begin this task, the sooner we shall return Pip to his mother and home." Without waiting for a response, Luna began to trot down the streets of Ponyville. "Whoa," Dash muttered at the retreating figure of the princess. "Never thought we'd get that kind of help. I almost feel bad for whoever took Pip, right, Twi?" The Pegasus knocked one of her front hooves against the unicorn's chest, earning an oof as the air left the mare. Yeah, Twilight responded, taking in the breath she lost. "Just something doesn't feel right." She began to trot forward, following the path the princess left behind of gawking ponies and bowed subjects. "What are you talking about?" Dash asked back. taking to the air as she hovered around the unicorn.
She's the freaking princess of the night. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say we beat her once, but it's not like any full napper is gonna have the elements of harmony on hoof, let alone know how to use them. Now come on, Slowpoke.
The Pegasus playfully jeered with a flick of her tail.
We gotta show the princess how we handle things around here.
Dash took off forward, catching up with the princess in all the time it took the unicorn to raise and lower a hoof. Her lavender eyes watched over the two, walking behind them at a pace that matched theirs, neither losing or gaining ground. That's not what I meant. Her words went unnoticed. End of Chapter 2. Keep in mind that this is only the second of 9 chapters, and I'll be reading the rest of this fanfiction. Nothing really spooky has happened yet, but I'm still optimistic. Though, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm really here for the Twidash. Regardless, we got a little fan-in world building going on here. And so the ball is rolling. Hopefully the action will heat up soon.